This changes everything for the New York Knicks, as getting a star player back healthy is making all the difference on the basketball court, and we have to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Knicks Basketball 365. If you're a New York Knicks fan, please hit that subscribe button. But getting into the video for today, coming from Posting and Toasting, Mitchell Robinson is many things. He's the longest tenured Knick. He's a defensive force capable of changing games and playoff series. He's an interesting character. He's the best offensive rebounder in the game, and he is quite possibly better than he has ever been. Taking a deeper look, comparing him to some of the best rebounders in the league, heading into Friday night, Robinson ranked 22nd in total offensive rebounds this season. Every single player in the top 25 besides him has played 7 or more games, or at the very least 129 total minutes. But Mitch leads all players in offensive rebounding percentage at 30.2% and is second in the league in total rebound percentage at 26.7%. Now, it's obvious that Mitchell Robinson is an absolute monster for the New York Knicks when he's healthy. The problem is when he is healthy. Mitchell Robinson entered this season with an ankle injury that held him out to start the season. But now that he is back, he's making a huge difference for the New York Knicks on the basketball court, and even led to this funny little interaction between Coach Mike Brown and the New York media. Mike Brown on Mitch. He said, "Who's seen a stat sheet before with someone getting 9 offensive rebounds in 16 minutes? One member of the media raises his hand. Mike Brown asks him, "Who was that?" And he said it was Mitchell Robinson. That coming from NBA New York on Twitter. But Mitchell Robinson makes a huge difference for the New York Knicks for a variety of reasons. The number one thing is the obvious, where what we've already talked about in this video, his offensive rebound rate is absolutely off the charts at about 30%. That means Mitchell Robinson is almost pulling down 1 in every 3 missed shots by the New York Knicks when he's on the floor. That should be impossible to get up to that high. And when he plays more minutes, that number will go a little bit down. That's a little bit too high to be sustainable long term for Mitchell Robinson. But we know he's an elite rebounder, especially offensively. Defensively, also one of the best rebounders in the NBA, but offensively, the best, the absolute best. I don't know why that is with Mitchell Robinson. It feels like he has a PhD in determining where the basketball is going to come off the rim based on shot trajectory, how it hits, the angle it hits. He just always knows where to be, and he's a physical presence who is willing to fight for the basketball when it is put up on the rim. The other biggest impact that having Mitch on the floor for the Knicks, other than, as to oppose to not having Mitchell Robinson on the floor, is the defensive presence that he brings. One of the best rim protectors in the NBA is Mitchell Robinson, and that's highly important in the modern NBA, where you have to make sure that you are not allowing guys to get to the rim. Or really, it's not even the modern NBA where the center, that the rim protector is highly important. That's the entire history of the NBA. And, the problem, we talk about it, is his injury history. When he's off the floor, the New York Knicks have to resort to Ariel Hukporti at the 5, Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5, or Yabusele at the 5. And the problem with going with those guys is with Karl-Anthony Towns, you move him to the 5. With this new Mike Brown offense, the 4 and the 5 are a completely different position. The 4 is going to be a more offensive role because that's meant for Karl-Anthony Towns, whereas the 5 is meant for a rim protector like a Mitchell Robinson or an Ariel Hukporti, evidenced by Game 1 opening night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Karl-Anthony Towns stayed at the 4, and Ariel Hukporti was given minutes starting at the 5 to figure out whether or not he could stick long-term as the New York Knicks 5. So far, Mike Brown is not convinced, but hopefully Hukporti can figure that out. So we don't have the depth at big man the way we wish we could behind an injury-prone center. I mean, no one in the NBA really has depth at the 5. We've been looking at Walker Kessler over the last couple of years, but he's actually out for the season. So that's just another trade asset off the table for the New York Knicks, should they want to get more depth at the 5 position. But going into what exactly the 5 position does in Mike Brown's offense, like I said earlier, rim protection on defense, but Mike Brown's not about defense. We know he was brought in to be an offensive coach. Let Tom Thibodeau and his defense go out the door. We don't need defense. We're all about offense here. What the center is going to do on offense for the New York Knicks is he has to be a presence down low that is going to suck defenders into the paint to give three-point shooters on the perimeter openings to hit their threes. So when Mitchell Robinson, we want him to be able to post up against defenders in the low post to get passes into the low post and hopefully attract more defenders towards him to try to get the ball away from him, because watching Mitchell Robinson on film, his hands aren't the best and he catches the ball and he tends to bring it down, which gives opportunities for the defense to swat the ball right out of his hands. Now, teams are going to know that. They're going to collapse on Mitchell Robinson, try to either force a jump ball, which they're going to lose, but it's still a win for the defense, or a turnover. And what Mitchell Robinson needs to be able to do is catch the ball in the low post, keep it high, find an open offensive player, maybe OG in the corner, maybe Brunson at the top, kick it out, find an open man, hit an open three. So that's what we're going to do that way. Also, offensively, he's tasked with being the offensive rebounding monster, but that's more of a secondary role, because that's really Mitchell Robinson is going to bring offensive rebounding to the game, regardless of who the head coach is going to be. So that hasn't changed between Tom Thibodeau and Mike Brown. That hasn't changed, which is why I would label that as a secondary responsibility for Mitchell Robinson, even if it is highly, highly important. It's so much fun watching the New York Knicks every single season with Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson being two of the best offensive rebounders in basketball. It gives our team, which usually is on the lower end of field goal percentage, gives us plenty of extra opportunities to hit shots and just play tough. You love to see your guys playing tough. Go deep in the playoffs. Continue to play tough. Having Mitchell Robinson back is a huge game changer, because it allows Karl-Anthony Towns to stay at the 4, so he doesn't have to spend time at the 5 as well. And what that does for Karl-Anthony Towns is it allows him to fully dive into and learn the role at the power forward position for Mike Brown. He's going to figure out everything about what his responsibilities are, because one of the other core tenets of Mike Brown's new offense is passing the ball quickly and moving the ball around pretty much as fast as you can. And each player at each position, they are responsible for, looking at different spots to pass the basketball to. Way dumbing it down, you pass to the open guy, but if you were diving into the film and looking at actual offensive systems, you understand that it's deeper than that. Players are looking for specific spots where they expect their teammates. That's why a lot of the times you'll see good players, good point guards, they'll throw the ball right out of bounds to nobody, because they're expecting one of their teammates to be in that spot. So Karl-Anthony Towns, we want him to stay at the 4 so he can understand everything that he is supposed to be doing at that position and can become the best version of Karl-Anthony Towns, the power forward for the New York Knicks, instead of splitting time at the power forward and the center. Because when you're bringing in a new head coach, bringing in a completely new offensive system, everyone is learning a new role. So we want to make it as easy as we possibly can on our players to learn what their new roles are. We don't want to watch Karl-Anthony Towns have, a second role just poured on his plate. We want to make it as easy as possible for all these players, and it makes it more difficult when guys are injured. We've already been dealing with a couple injuries so far this season. Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, and more guys, Deuce McBride, missing a game for personal reasons. It's tough to figure it out with a new head coach. Nothing's going to be easy at the NBA level, but Knick fans, we got to be fortunate that we have a ton of talent on this roster, and Mike Brown is going to find a way to maximize it, at least offensively. Maybe defensively, it never rises to the levels of what Tom Thibodeau's defense was, but it's going to look really good for the New York Knicks, and I can't wait to watch it happen. Knicks currently the second favorite to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, behind only the Cleveland Cavaliers, who we already have a win against, but I guess the odds makers are saying they still have continuity. They have pretty much the same team as last year. They got the same head coach. So hopefully the New York Knicks are going to take them down. Can't wait to see how this thing shakes out. Back in action on Sunday. If you stuck around this long, appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Go Knicks.